So the first thing about being an entrepreneur, and I think that's the first thing about being a salesperson also, and they are not really too very different, is that you don't say no to any business. So when a potential client asks you if you can deliver on a tough requirement, they say, Yogesh, can you do performance attribution with 6 indices? You just look back and think a little bit. You know that you're going to say yes. Yeah, we can do it. All the while, when you're going back to the office, you're thinking, how are you going to break the news to your delivery team that you have signed off a few months of their lives? And you practice it. You practice saying, I'll just take it up a little bit. You practice saying, Sunil, I know you have not visited your home for a few months now. But get your parents over. If all 3 of you live in the 1-bedroom house together, you will all come close as a family. Rahul, 3-day honeymoons are the norms today. Experts believe that if your honeymoon is short, the excitement of marriage will last for a longer time. And you know what? Diwali is on a Friday, so you have Friday, Saturday and Sunday. Or you say, Rekha, after your baby is born, what we're going to do is we are going to install broadband in your house. So when she wakes you up at night and you can't get back to sleep, you'll have something to do. Okay, I didn't say the last one. But I thought about it. A corollary to not saying no is that you're always projecting yourself like a little bigger than you are. You know, like the puffer fish, the fish that blows itself up in face of danger. Or like the cobra which stands on its tails and tries to make itself bigger. Or even like that Pomeranian dog. You guys know what a Pomeranian dog is, right? It's a small little mutt with smooth white hair and very small animal. If you visit someone who is a Pomeranian dog, as soon as you ring the bell, it will start barking and coming out. And its bark is also not like a big bark like a German, not like a woof, but like, whoa, whoa. It's really, I mean, its bark is almost laughable. But it'll come, as soon as you get in, it'll come around you, it'll run all around you, trying to just scare you. Entrepreneurs and startups are like Pomeranian dogs. So, when someone asks you, how long have you been in existence? What you do is you count from the day the thought came to your mind. And you count all that time and you come to 1 year and 5 days. And you say slightly less than 2 years. Then they ask you, how many people are you? You count all your employees. You count the 2 people who come for HR and accounts once a month. You add the postman, you add the chai wala, you add the pizza guy, you add the janitor. And then you multiply all of this by 1.5. And the beauty of it all is that it doesn't matter. If you are a software company, which we were, the client is probably thinking about Infosys, 25,000 people at that time. This is some time back. And you are saying 50 instead of 30. As if that matters. That guy is going to say, oh my God, you are 50 people, not 30. I thought you were only 30. No, it doesn't matter to them. But you still do it. You are a Pomeranian dog, you'll end up doing that anyway. As an aside, I believe that this tendency of exaggerating things is prevalent in the dating world also. So, OkCupid, the website for dating, they did an analysis of the profiles and they found that, for example, height. The general US population, if it was average is 5'8", in OkCupid it became 5'10". So, people were shifting their heights by a little bit. And when it came to something which is socially significant, like 6 feet height, people were exaggerating quite a lot. So 5'8" became 5'10", but 5'9" thought, let me make it 5'11", let me go to 6. I understand that this is not just restricted to height, but a lot of other anatomical characteristics people exaggerate. Fortunately, at least when it comes to dating, I don't have this challenge. As you can see, I'm 6 feet tall. Anyway, let's get to the story. So, I co-founded and ran a software product services company for 10 years last decade. We started in a two-storied bungalow in Kalina, Sundarnagar, Kalina. This is a very nice location. Many of our clients, including the biggest one, ICICI Bank, They were based in BKC, which was like 8 rupees away in auto rickshaw. So very convenient. And the bungalow was surrounded by other residential buildings occupied mainly by South Indians, which meant that whenever you went in the morning, you could hear pressure cookers going everywhere, and you could smell the nice smell of sambar coming out from many of those houses. And the two rooms, the way we had arranged them was wooden boards ran along the walls everywhere, and people used to sit on them. Not sit on the boards, but sit on the chairs and use them for putting their computers. The tiny kitchen we converted into the leadership room, where all three partners of the firm squeezed in. As the company expanded, our landlords put wooden boards, plywood boards on the still parking on the ground floor and put in AC and converted those also into rooms. So about a year after we started, we got a client in the US, Craig Hartman. He was a 60-year-old entrepreneur who used to work just outside Chicago in a suburb called Palatine. We met him on the internet, and after doing a few assignments remotely, my partners and I decided that the business relationship could grow, so we put together the money to send me to Palatine. Fortunately, one of my cousins lived not too far away, so it was just a matter of getting the airfare together. On the day of the appointment, my cousin dropped me at Craig's office address. So now this two-storied building again was in a quiet neighborhood and was surrounded by offices of lawyers, dentists, and accountants. The only trash on the road was a few fallen leaves. It was autumn. When I stepped inside the door, I noticed that it was made of solid wood, not aluminum siding or plywood, so not like really big, thick-ass doors. I noticed the absence of noise, and I also noticed how much space each of the people working in the office had. In other words, it was a typical US office in a typical US neighborhood. Craig and I hit it off very well. The two of us discussed how we could add new modules to his existing products, modules that his programming team did not have the bandwidth to do. And I could see, dollar-denominated revenues for our baby company. So like my eyes were shining when I was discussing all this. And additionally, it was very clear that the projects would be great learning experience for the teams that would work on it, as well as for us. Because his company was serving 1/4 of the US community market. So he was a great client for everyone. And he was also a great client because he was 30 years entrepreneur. So we would learn a lot from him. So through the meeting, I was thinking, this trip is a real success. Except, there was a small problem. Through the day-long meeting, Craig kept apologizing for his office. He did not like the fact that it was based in an area where the others were dentists. He was an analytical software company. So he talked about dentists and lawyers next door, and I thought about the washing on the clothesline and next door to my office. He talked about the finishing of his office, and I thought about the damp and blisters on the walls of my office. And he complained about lack of space. And he was complaining about lack of space sitting in an office which was as big as a 1 BHK, my hall of my 1 BHK apartment. And he was complaining, and what I was doing was, I was mentally removing his desk and putting wooden boards across his office and thinking that I can easily put 10 programmers in this room. Actually 12. But of course, I did not let on that his office and neighborhood were 10 times cleaner, 100 times quieter, and 1,000 times more professional than where our office was. If I remember correctly, I even kind of agreed with him. I didn't say that your office is shitty, but when he said, my office it's not really professional, yeah, you're right. Because that is the entrepreneur's credo, right? So over the next 2 years, our business relationship grew. He would give us new projects and we would execute them. And we had weekly calls to monitor the progress and discuss issues. We would talk about the latest that is happening in the budgeting world. We would talk about how Ajax could be used to make the system more responsive to users, how we are using application servers to make sure that the system speed is very fast, all the good stuff. And in these calls, once in a while, Craig would say, express his desire to come to India. We were always very enthusiastic. But we would say, you know what, monsoon is not the right time to come to Mumbai. Mumbai gets flooded. It's not the right time to come to Mumbai. A few months down the line, he would again say, summers? Nobody comes to summers in India. It's too hot. He would raise it again. He'd say, oh, are you thinking of coming? Because we have just booked our tickets to Chicago. So, we're going to be there next month. And Craig must have thought that it is really odd that there are only two seasons in Mumbai, summer and rains. Because around 3 years after we started working together, he just told us one day that his good friend Larry was coming to India and he had booked his tickets. So as soon as we realized it was fait accompli, we told him, we are really excited about this. So why did we worry about our office so much? We were very proud of the work we did and we thought of ourselves as a world-class company with world-class clients. And by Mumbai standards, our office was quite okay. But that was the nub of it. It was okay by Mumbai standards. It was actually not even okay by Delhi standards. How could you explain to someone what these Mumbai standards were? How do you explain stilt parking with wooden walls which are not even painted, brown wooden walls? That's your inside wall of a room. How do you explain the vicious dog Sheru that was tied up just inside the main gate? A dog which is a grotesque combination of all kinds of mongrel and German Shepherd and whatever. And really aggressive dog. If you went to pet it, it will bite you. And not at all like the Pomeranian we talked about. And how do you talk of multiple linear regression and multi-threading when the person serving tea, Mama, is a stick-thin 70-year-old man with just a couple of teeth who routinely moved around clad only in a dhoti, topless. In short, how do you explain India and Mumbai to a person who has never visited a developing country? Anyway, he was coming. So the three partners had an emergency meeting the next day. Our 10 feet by 8 feet executive leadership room was converted into a war room. A campaign was designed on the 4x3 whiteboard, which was covering almost all of the wall of one of the rooms, one of the walls. On our recommendation, Craig booked himself in ITC Grand Maratha Sheraton. He was landing late at night and we told him that the Grand Maratha Sheraton was next door to the airport. That is true. It is next door to the airport. What is not true was the other thing that we told him. He said our office in Kalina was really far from the hotel. And he would end up wasting a lot of time traveling there. So we suggested that we have all our meetings in the conference room in the hotel. And on the last day, we will do a trip to the office when the traffic is light. So for 2 mornings and 2 afternoons, different guys from our office would land up in the hotel for meetings. And the story that we gave that we were coming directly from our home or we were going directly to our homes from the hotel, so we were not wasting time. In the evenings, we went to different restaurants in the city for dinner. We went to Taj once and we went to Olive once. Obviously, we drove past the turning on Western Express Highway on Kalina. And whenever we did that, we would look the other way. Both the evenings, we reached the turning in 15 minutes. So day 3 came, last day of the trip. I had reported to the war room that the meetings had gone well. Evening dinners had also been very good. But now the visit to the office could not be avoided. So we had deliberately kept a very early evening engagement. The whole cunning plan was that we would give him very, very little time in the office. So we took a heavy lunch very, very slowly. And then a slower coffee. And around 3 o'clock, we started from the hotel. I had told Craig that sometimes, once in a while, if you were lucky, you got light traffic in the afternoons. Unfortunately, that day, we were lucky. The traffic was really very light. Even the under construction Andheri flyover took only 5 minutes to go through. So we took the direct route from airport to Kalina, which is via Sayan, Dadar, BKC, and back to Kalina. Mumbai just refused to participate in our deception. 40 short minutes later, we were at the office. So the dog Sheru barked really viciously as we entered. I was training at its leash. Mama gave us a tooth grin. And as all of us had prepared in the ballroom, all our employees, all 45 of them, came out to welcome our guests. So they were dressed in kurta pajamas and saris because we had brought forward the traditional day. Craig and Larry were garlanded with thick marigold malas. A red tika was put on their forehead, and a plate with a lit lamp was rotated in front of their face. And it was not puja or anything. We just were trying to kind of, make sure that he gets hypnotized. They were slowly introduced to all 45 employees one by one. And then they were taken to the war room, and my two partners, Larry and Craig, sat down for coffee. I stood in the doorway. There was room only for 4 chairs. So throughout the short coffee, Craig had a dazed look on his face. He was not commenting on anything, and he was not even looking around. Maybe the long drive from Andheri had worked, or maybe it was that the jet lag was finally catching out, or maybe it was the strain of getting introduced to some 45 really tough, non-culturally familiar names that had got him, and maybe we had really managed to bamboozle him. But I doubt if it was any one of them. I think Craig knew exactly what was happening, and he was trying hard to control his laughter. He was an entrepreneur himself, and he knew what it was to be a Pomeranian dog barking at creatures much larger than himself. He knew what the entrepreneur's credo was. Thank you very much.